Hello and welcome to jasonnewland.com. My name is Jason Newland. Hello. Hello. This is Q&A Friday. Let me bore you to sleep. Q&A Friday. Yeah, so little Vinnie's here at my side like a good boy. Yes, he is. Aren't you? His little tail's wagging, wiggling, wobbling, waggling. Yes. It's Friday the 8th of August 2025. Please only listen when you can safely close your eyes if I have not already said that. Earlier on, I did do a recording, fibromyalgia relief hypnosis. So that's something I've done today. This week, what have I done this week? So I've done a Monday's boring objects. I did a whisper Monday. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this will be my 8th recording this week. And I've still got 2 more days left. 2 more days of the week, that is. I ordered a window cover to try and soundproof the window, and that should be getting delivered at some point today, which would be interesting to see how that works out. It's all worth a try, isn't it? It's worth a try. Yes. You know. So the last few days I've been trying to work, or trying to tidy up this place. Had a bit of a, I don't know if it's an existential extra stench eel moment lately, but having been over the last few weeks, I've been going through Uncle Sausage's stuff, partly because he asked me to. You know, I wasn't just having a little nose, and he wanted me to find some things. And then when I told him about the magazines and there's a little bit of a mouse issue, he said, well, firstly, he didn't want to go back to the flat. And I said, what about your magazines? And he said, well, clear it out. So he asked me to clear his flat out, get rid of the rubbish. So I did that. I mean, I did 5 bags to start with. And that was just stuff on the floor, biscuit wrappers and stuff like that, which I'm not going to judge him because I'm similar myself sometimes. I blame it on Vinnie, but it's not really all him. I mean, the bones, that's Vinnie. And then I started going through his books, and the books had to be chucked out, and his magazines, and I found photographs, and I started putting stuff away, just like that he might want to be kept, or maybe someone might want. It's like the passport of his mum's old passport, and his mum's she's been gone for a long time, decades. So it was kind of, I don't know, bit weird. There's baby pictures of him Well, I'm guessing they're him. I mean, they're black and white pictures of a baby boy. Well, I don't know if it's a boy, but a baby. So I'm kind of figuring it might be him. I mean, he didn't. It's hard to tell, to be honest with you. I just imagine it was. He had these. They're kind of hidden away in this container that you wouldn't even know anything was in it, and it was just a bunch of photographs, and that's personal stuff, but no one wants it. No one wants it. No one just there's without seeming harsh. I don't want it either. It's of no. I don't really collect stuff from my own life or my own family. Never mind someone else's. Um, but I thought there'd be someone that would, because of I, a part of me would like to think that maybe when my time's up, that somebody would want a keepsake of me. But I've come to realise that that's possibly not going to be the case. And I looked at all his books, all the things he's collected over, well, I don't know, a lifetime, I guess. All being chucked out. Everything. Nothing being kept. It's like all his belongings gone. Every bit of clothing. Unfortunately, it can't be recycled, as it were. It can't be given to the second-hand shop. But everything that meant something to him, material-wise, is gone. He's going to be chucked out, being taken by the council. Now, a lot of it is because it's of the mice, and it's unhealthy. You know what I mean? This stuff has to be bagged up. I went in there with gloves on and just trying to kind of sort it out, because the council asked me to do it, and then the council said they didn't need me to do it. They were going to come and do it themselves, and they were going to come and get the mice people in to sort out the vermin. And they came today, because I've had a key to his flat, so they came in. I let them in, and they went and did what they needed to do, and then they're coming back in a week's time to sort of check out the situation. But he was taking photographs, and he was looking, and he said, well, yeah, it's pretty bad. But he did say he's seen worse. It's basically hoarders. It's a hoarder situation, because people, and he was a hoarder, but at the same time, a hoarder is just someone that collects things. If you get into the big, like, hoarder, blah blah blah, those TV programs always show the very, very most extreme cases. Now, where someone literally, they've got everything stacked up nearly to the ceiling, and it's interesting to watch, because it's almost unbelievable that anyone could live like that. I saw his flat when it was halfway through being emptied back before Christmas, because he was a hoarder. And it was quite high, but it wasn't as high as the ceiling. But it was, up to his knees. Maybe, yeah, up to his knees, pretty much. Higher in some places. Didn't even know he had a sofa until they'd finished. I don't think he even knew he had a bed. I said, why do you sleep in your chair? He said, I don't know. I was meaning to get myself a bed. And then I made that bit up. Although he did sleep in a settee, on the sofa. He's a chair, actually. He didn't sleep in bed. But it's just someone that it gets out of hand. That's all it is. With I think with the collecting. And I can kind of see he didn't like having someone coming in and taking his stuff. But he didn't have any choice. The council came in and basically told him they had to sort it out because of being a health hazard, a fire hazard, and all that stuff. And this is, about November time. But it was very distressing for him because he didn't have enough time to sort through his own stuff to choose what he wanted to keep. So what he did is he made sure that they didn't go into any of his drawers or any of his cupboards, which are also full of stuff. I found newspapers from 1999. I helped him move all the stuff out of the kitchen just before I think it's the start of the year, he had a new kitchen put in. It might have been the end of last year. I lose track of time. But he had a new kitchen put in. So the weekend before they came to do the kitchen, I helped him to move everything out of the kitchen into his bedroom. And we were going through the drawers and I couldn't believe stuff we were finding. Those carrier bags had been in there so long they'd disintegrated. And it was kind of, there was one that was so bad. Like I said to him, Uncle Sausages, you're going to have to deal with this. I'm not touching that drawer. You can deal with that yourself. But I did try and help him out a little bit if I could. But the people from the council, when they did what was subcontracted, when they did it, they didn't. No surfaces were cleared from the looks of it. No, nothing was. No cupboards were looked in. All the stuff where, I don't know. Basically, I think he needed to have been put into a hotel or go and stay somewhere for a week while the whole place was just emptied. And bearing in mind his age, and he wasn't really so much able to look after himself. He was independent, but there was certain aspects that he wasn't doing great with. Maybe doing really well compared to a lot of people his age, but he wasn't. He needed help, but he didn't ask for any help, other than from me. And most of that was just helping with bills and talking to people on the phone and getting his front door sorted out and helping get his kitchen cleared and helping with bits and bobs like that. Ordering stuff online, things that he sort of didn't enjoy doing. But it's just really weird. I went in there again today and showed the mice men around, and I said, I know it's a bit grotty in these two rooms, but look, the kitchen and the bathroom are fine. The kitchen's, I said, I think there's like rat droppings in the kitchen, and he said, no, it's not rat droppings, they're like these beetle shell things. They look like rat droppings, but they're not. And the bathroom, perfect. Uncle Sausages hadn't even seen the finished article of his bathroom because it was in the process of being rebuilt, refurbished or whatever. While he was still there when they started it, so they were there for the first week. He was there for the first week of them doing it, from Tuesday to Friday, and then Friday night he went into hospital. So they hadn't. I don't think they'd put the bath in yet. They put the toilet in, but they hadn't put in. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure they asked me even what kind of tiles did he want, and I just said, they were asking me, like, I don't know, but because I had to let them in every day. So, there was like the plumber, then there was the electrician, then there was the plasterer, then there was the painter, and all the different kind of tradespeople that came in. And he never got to see it. He never got to see the end result. And he's waiting. Well, he was waiting later in the year. I don't know when, but this year, sometime in the next few months, he's going to have all new windows in there as well. So practically a whole new flat, other than the living room and the bedroom, although that will now be all cleared out. And I mean, the council don't refurbish the flats when, like the living room and the bedroom. They'll strip the place, get everything out of there in this kind of situation. They did the same with my friend Luke downstairs, and Trina, who also lived downstairs, did the same there as well, who she passed away as well. So this is a third person who I've lived in this block with that's passed away in the last 5 years. It's crazy, really. Yeah, Trina was the first. Yeah, it was beginning of 2020. And Luke, end of 2023, November. And now Uncle Sausages. It's kind of weird. It's just weird. But anyway, I don't want to keep talking about that, but although I am. I'm starting to wonder, though. I know this isn't really anything to do with Q&A Friday, but the Let Me Bore You to Sleep is kind of like I don't know, like a journal or a diary, a verbal, vlog, blog, whatever you want to call it. And so I do talk about my life. I talk about what's gone on and how I'm feeling. I try to keep it light, and I don't talk about things like this when it's not happening. It's like I'm constantly talking about bereavement and things like that, because I don't. If you listen regularly, you know that I do try and keep it quite light, and I'm trying to keep this light as well. It's just a little bit hard, because there's also the reality, or at least my reality of the situation, and it just seems like if I don't talk about him, he's forgotten. Now, he's not going to be forgotten or remembered by anyone listening, because no one listening knows him. In the sense of, you don't know, just like Luke or anyone else sort of in my life, you don't know these people, but it kind of keeps I feel like it keeps them alive. As long as the memory's alive, it keeps them alive. Like, really famous people that live on, like Charles Dickens or Elvis Presley, or famous musicians, composers, authors, actors, people like that are kind of just gonna. It doesn't seem like Elvis Presley is ever gonna be forgotten. I know there's millions and millions, maybe billions of people on the planet that have got no idea who he is or who he was. But every generation is going to find a new group of people that will fall in love with Elvis Presley and his songs. And it might be, for me, the reason I love Elvis is because my oldest brother was obsessed with Elvis. So I spent years of my childhood listening to Elvis songs because my brother would play them and he was in charge. He was the oldest brother. If he decided we were listening to Elvis songs, that's what we were listening to. So I loved Elvis. And my dad loved the Beatles, so I kind of... He didn't talk about the Beatles, but he played the Beatles songs a lot, like, you know, when we was in the car and stuff. So I grew up, even though the Beatles was well and truly over, long before I was like, could know who they were. I mean, they split up before I was born. And I do remember hearing about John Lennon, and I was in, and that was big news. Bearing in mind, was it 1982? 82? Something like that. I'm sure I was at high school, and I was getting changed in the changing room at sports. We were doing, you know, sports, whatever, football or whatever it was. And someone came in and shouted, you know, about John Lennon. It's like, oh. So I knew who he was. Absolutely loved John Lennon's solo songs that were kind of, I suppose they were late 70s, but they became really popular in the early 80s. Or they might have been the early 80s, I don't know. I'm pretty sure Imagine was in the 70s that first came out, and Woman. Those are my two favourite songs that John Lennon did, you know, solo-wise. Although I didn't realise, I don't know why I'm excited about this, I didn't realise that, what did he did a song, and then Brian Ferry did it, and Brian Ferry did arguably a much better version of it. I'm just a lonely guy, whatever it is. Is it Brian Ferry? It was so good, the Brian Ferry version. And then I heard the John Lennon version, and that was also really good. But Brian Ferry I think I got the right singer. I'm just a classic guy, something like that. I'm just a something guy. Such a good song. And see, there's also something that I've noticed recently. I'm also, you might not notice about me, I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan. And I have heard hardly anything from Bob Dylan that I didn't like. Even though I don't understand half of what he's singing about. Because he's singing about stuff from like the 50s and 60s and, you know, different towns in America and beatnik stuff. Well, I know a little bit about beatnik stuff, but, you know, I don't really, because it was before my time. And even in the 70s, like one of my favourite albums of all time is Blood on the Tracks, which is a Bob Dylan song from about 1972 or 1974, something like that. And I just love it. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. See, I didn't used to like that song when anyone else sang it. Because he wasn't like, it was a really popular song sung by so many different bands. I didn't know Bob Dylan sang it. And then when I heard Bob Dylan sing it, I thought, oh, I like this. And some of the lyrics, I remember because I've known about Bob Dylan since I was a kid, because he's always been around my whole life. I've not lived with him, I don't mean that way. He's not my neighbour, doesn't live in the loft. But he was always around. He was always, I'd see him on telly and I'd see him. It's just one of those things like Kirk Douglas. I'd see him in the movies. So I grew up, even though the movies he was in were from the 50s and the 60s, and I was watching them in the 80s. So I grew up knowing him, And it was really weird when his son became a massive star. And what's this Kirk Douglas's son? What was his name? Douglas. So good. What a great comedy actor. What a great actor. Generally. Not Daniel Douglas. Why have I forgotten his first name? I know who he married. But he's got that. He's got another really good actor is John Pertwee's son. I think it's Sean Pertwee. He's so good, but he's never gone on to be like super famous. And I don't understand it. Because he's really, really good. He's great at action, he's great at comedy, he's got the timing, he's got it. And his dad was super famous being in Doctor Who and Wurzel Gummidge and a lot of other things. So his dad was really famous in this country. And Sean Pertwee, I think it's Sean, didn't he do Robin Hood or something back in the 80s? I think he might have done. But he's so good. And anyway, this hasn't really got anything to do with Q&A Friday, but very little has these days. I suppose I was just wondering what's going to happen to my stuff. Someone's going to come in here and just chuck my stuff away. And it's got me thinking, why have I even got any stuff? So I started having a bit of a clear out and getting rid of things that I don't need, things that I'm not going to look at again. There's no point in having stuff if I'm not going to use it. So yeah, it's been having a tidy up. Just the idea of someone going through my things, and I saw that with Luke's, my friend Luke's stuff. Now, he had people come in, he had some family come and take some keepsakes, t-shirts, a few things just for a memory, of him. Something that, I don't know, whatever they wanted, but it was just a few little bits. And then he had someone else come in and just try and sell as much stuff as they could as well. So that lasted for like a month or 5 weeks, something like that. And then the rest of it was just left for the council to come and collect. And they did collect it. But while they were collecting it, they were just mocking what he had. And I saw some bloke, he was standing on top of this. The council have these cages where they also use them. They use them for rubbish, but they also use them for like cutting trees or trimming hedges and stuff. So it's kind of, they put it in and it's all kind of caged up on this van thing. There's probably a technical term for the vehicle, but I don't know what it is. And this bloke was shouting to his friend or his colleague that was in the flat as well. So very loud, shouting out, "Oh, this is such a bunch of junk," whilst using a hammer or some sledgehammer thing to smash up the stuff in the back of this cage, smashing up his belongings. And yeah, I had to walk away from that situation because I found it a lot disrespectful. It's just, I realised they don't know the person, and they probably didn't even know that they might have, for all they know, he just moved out and left all his stuff there. And that happens a lot with the council, apparently. So they weren't to know the situation. And yeah, perhaps they're not employed based upon their emotional intelligence. But a little bit of consideration, I don't know. Right, we might have some background noise now. I've got myself a noise detector. Only cheap thing. But there's no batteries, so I have to buy some batteries. But basically, it checks a decimal of the level of noise coming in through the window. So I'm going to be able to test that with the different things I use to try and soundproof the window. But also be interested to see how loud a decimal their shouting is, and whether or not it's breaking the law. Just out of interest. I'm never going to report them anyway, because I don't do stuff like that. But it'd just be interesting. Or whether it's just me being oversensitive, which it could be. I mean, it only really bothers me when I'm trying to make a recording. The rest of the time, most of the time, some of the time, doesn't worry me at all. It's just when I'm trying to make a recording, especially if it's a hypnosis recording, I need it to be quiet. For me as well, because I'm focused very much on what I'm saying. I'm focused on how I'm saying it. I'm focused on the pauses, because a lot more pauses, like quiet spaces in the recording. We know what a pause is. You haven't got to explain what a pause is. Okay, all right, wow. And it's hard to have a pause, or a gap in the talking. Okay, you know what a pause is. Yeah, especially like I was doing this one for fibromyalgia, and it's there's like a gap. I say now, let your unconscious mind just absorb these messages and allow everything to just come together slowly in your own time. And then there's a pause. But if after that all you hear is, "Do you want a coffee? Yeah, I've got a coffee. You right then? Yeah, I'm right then. I didn't get any sleep last night. Why is that? Because the people upstairs were really loud. Really loud." It's like, okay, this is 6:30 in the morning, people. Come on. They were really loud and inconsiderate. So yeah. Other than that, they're actually really nice people. It's just I don't like anything getting in the way of this. It's one of my little peeves. This is important to me, doing these things, and I'm trying to, whether you've noticed or not, I'm trying to sort of do a bit more of the old hypnosis stuff. I'm not sure how well, I don't know. I don't know. Is it going well? I don't know. I'm not sure. Right, okay, that's interesting. What's going on there? So I'm trying to look at my podcast. Okay. This is YouTube. So I'm trying to look at my stats. Downloads 8 new videos. Stats. So it's not giving me that. Okay. Never mind. My videos. Well, the stats seem to be going up a bit with the old YouTube videos, which are it's basically just a podcast. It's this podcast. That's all it is. So every single time I record something, it gets uploaded onto YouTube in a format of just the podcast episode. So whether it's normal length all the way up to 10 hours with and without music, and they're all uploaded, all 6 versions. And I've started to, increase subscribers the last few days, and more people are listening to the recordings. It's not huge, but it's increasing, which is it's always nice. It's always groovy to have that happen. What I am wondering though is where's the... Oh, there it is. So I suppose really what I was trying to sort of come to figure out is, how can I be remembered? How can I be remembered? Or will I be remembered? Or I'm just going to be forgotten? And it seems weird, bearing in mind I've done thousands of recordings. I mean, literally, individual recordings. I've done thousands. I mean, it doesn't even make sense, really, when you think about it. I mean, Let Me Bore You to Sleep. I've done 1,407 different recordings. And a lot of them, there's 6 versions. And I've also done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, probably maybe 1,000 other different recordings as well. So that's quite a lot. Quite a bit, innit? Don't you think? Quite a bit. And what's going to happen to all those recordings? Because when I'm departed... Oh, come on, what are you doing? Okay, go. Oh, got itchy leg. When I'm departed, what happens to all these recordings? They'll just disappear. Because they're not physical. They're not a physical thing. They're not... I mean, if they were a physical thing, they'd probably just get chucked out by the council and smashed up. While someone's shouting, "What a bunch of junk! Hey, what did this bloke do? What's all these recordings?" I mean, technically they are saved on hard drives, but they're saved on the podcasts. But what's going to happen to all the recordings? Will they be of any use to anyone in the future? I don't have an answer for this, and it's been a little bit on my mind, just a little bit. I know that I'm not, I've not invented something that's changed the world, so I'm not going to be remembered like that. I'm not famous, so I won't be remembered by millions of people, because I've not got that kind of audience. Not yet, anyway. Give it time, baby. Give it time. There's probably a few thousand people, maybe I reckon probably 10,000-20,000 people around the world that know who I am, that have listened to me, maybe more, maybe 50,000 over the 19 years I've been doing this. Perhaps even more than that, just that have listened to me. But then I guess I'll be forgotten by a lot of those people. So I'm known a little bit around the world. Mind you, 20,000 is not bad. That could fill out a stadium or an arena in this country. If I could get every single person from around the world that's listened to my recordings in the last year, over the last 12 months, it's probably going to be about 20,000 people, maybe a lot more than that. I tried to work it out once, but it's hard. It's really hard to figure out, There's regular people. There's people that... So on my Facebook group, there's only 220 members on my Jason Newland's boring group. But generally, the people in that group are regular listeners. But I do have, for every person that would join a group to listen, there's going to be probably another 10, 20, 40, 50 that I'll never hear about. Just like for every person that posts a comment, there'll be hundreds that won't post a comment, or thousands that won't post a comment. Because what I do is not really necessarily comment postable, is it? It's like, it's not really, I suppose on YouTube someone might, post a message, a comment saying thank you for this and stuff, but on podcasts I don't get that. Don't really get hardly any feedback at all. In fact, if I go to my website, jasonnewland.com, let me have a look. Playlists. Oh, wait a minute, that's weird. There's no... Home, contact, Facebook group, YouTube, podcast apps, playlists, podcasts, PayPal, reviews, that's what I was looking for, and then requested recordings. Reviews. The last actual review that I've got on here was from probably a year ago, maybe. In fact, I can't even... No. Don't know when it was. It was a while back. So yeah, I don't get regular reviews, which is okay. It's not. I prefer more. I prefer regular people, because it's good advertising. It's almost like I'm like on people's like little dirty secret. Like, let's not let anyone. I don't want anyone else to know that I listen to that weird man in England. I don't want anyone to know. No. And the thing is, if you actually have some kind of benefit from listening to my recordings, then chances are other people will also gain some kind of benefit, whether it's falling asleep, whether it's just calming your mind down and relaxing a bit, or just hearing a familiar, friendly voice. I like to think I've got a fairly friendly voice. Is my voice friendly? I better be. I have a friendly voice. So yeah, I like to... It could be just that. It could be company. Because I do regular recordings, then it's kind of... To me, it's sort of like a radio show, kind of. It's not live, but it is now. At the moment it's live as I record it. Vinnie's got his eyes open. I wonder what he's thinking. He's just laying down on his side, listening to the outside sounds. The lovely sounds. You like the sounds, don't you? Hey? I put his dinner out this morning, or his breakfast, not touched it. Not been hungry, have you? But when we go out and you see the other dog walkers and they've got treats, you go, oh, give me a treat, don't you? Eh? Yes, you do. So he's always got a bit of room in his tummy for some treats, don't you? I know I shouldn't keep saying that word because I've got none for him. I've run out. I'm sorry, mate. You got food. If you eat it. You little sausage. That's another word that gets him. Sausage. Like sausages, don't you? Uncle Sausages. I don't know if I tell you that Uncle Sausages started calling Vinnie Sausage. They called him Sausages. And he started asking me how Sausage is getting on. It was so cute. It was, didn't it? You loved your Uncle Sausages, didn't you? Eh? Because the reason we called him that, the reason Vinnie calls him that, is because he used to buy these sausages, these packs of sausages from up the road, and they were horrible. I mean, they were supposedly for human consumption, and I would not touch them. They were like these rubbery, I don't know, Frankenfurter, Savaloy, rubbery. No, I wouldn't touch them. I'd touch them, give them to him. He loved them. I didn't even think he was going to like him because I thought I wouldn't even eat them. But he absolutely adored them, didn't you? Yes, you did. You haven't got to bite me. You haven't got to bite me. It's really weird. I put my hand near him, but I move my hand away and he tries to bite it. So, I don't know, I'm just waffling now. Hope asks me, how many times have you cut your toenails since 1990? Well, I have... She also says, just kidding, I've been holding in that in for weeks. I'm going to answer anyway, so there. How many times have I... Probably since 1990, I reckon about 3 times. I'm not very good at cutting my toenails. They need cutting now. And sometimes they grow. What I used to do, I used to cut them too short and I ended up getting ingrown toenails when I was about 15, 16. And I had that as a problem for a few years. So what I did is I purposely let them grow so that never happened again, and that hasn't happened since. But because of that, the big toes are not quite as... The toenails aren't quite as straight as the other ones because they've been partially removed in the past. I don't cut them very often. Not as... I remember I had a date... Yeah, I had a date with this lady back in 2005 it was. And I went around her house. I wasn't really expecting anything to happen. But I ended up with my socks off. And they were like... it wasn't good. Well, it was good, but it wasn't, my toenails weren't good. And she cut my toenails. It's like, okay. Bit of a weird first date, but hey, go with it. And I walked home. See, when I cut my toenails, I checked them. I didn't check them. Now, I'm not being horrible, but she didn't cut them properly. In a way, no, what I mean by that is there was one bit of nail sticking out the side, and I walked, and it was probably about an hour, over an hour's walk, maybe an hour and 15-minute walk home, and my whole sock was soaking with, it wasn't sweat anyway, it cut my toenail. My toenail cut my other toe open, and it was really sore. It's really weird. I was just like, wow. So I did have I've been into a nail salon and had my toenails cut. That's weird. That's Vinnie's, by the way, just in case you wonder what the noise is. It's Vinnie giving himself a little bed bath. A little flannel bath. A little, you know, dogs, what they like to do. Get in there, boy. So how many since 1990? Probably. How many times do we cut our toenails in a year? Twice? 3 times maybe? It's definitely... My toenails grow a lot slower than my fingernails. Like, my fingernails grow really quick. Toenails probably... They do need to be cut now. They are ready. Yeah, they're pretty much... I'm not saying they're crying out. They're like, oh, cut me please. Daddy, cut me. No, nothing like that. But they do need to be trimmed. But they're not like a witch's talons, you know? They're not like really all curly and... You ever see that? People that are in like the Guinness Book of Records for the longest fingernails. And it's probably it's like the pride of their life is having the longest fingernails. But what quality of life do they have with those things? You know, they're like 20 foot long. What can they do? What can they actually do? You know what I mean? Like, why? But yeah, who am I to judge? So probably maybe 4 times a year. Was it 1990? It might be more than 4 times a year. I don't know. I mean, there was a period when... Yeah, I've always had a bit of sort of a kind of forgetfulness when it comes to toenails. Because I don't go naked with my toes. They're always covered up. So no one ever gets to see them, and I forget they're there, really. I mean, I know they're there, but I forget they're there. It's a little bit like nipples, really. I don't give them much thought. Not that I need to trim my nipples, but I'm just saying that would be weird, wouldn't it? It's just like my belly button. It's just a thing. It's a thing that's there. That I don't really use anymore. I could go further now, couldn't I? What other parts of my body do I not use anymore? So probably quite a few times. 40, what was it, 90, 2000, 10, 20, so 40, 80, 120, 140, 140 times. That's a lot, isn't it? Probably about 140 times, maybe 200 times, maybe more, maybe less. I didn't know. I mean, there was a time when I was cutting my toenails way too often, which, as I said, that led to me basically messing my toes up. But they're fine now. I don't have that problem anymore. So that was Hope's question. Real question. What was your favourite song in the 80s? I have 2 favourite songs from the 80s. It's a hard one. That's hard because, let's say, go through the 80s. It depends when you ask me. I mean, I know you're asking me now. If you'd have asked me in 1986 or 85 or 1989, I would have given you different questions. I'd given you different answers, sorry. So if you'd have asked me in 1989, I very likely would have told you that Like a Prayer was possibly my favourite song of the 80s. But then if you know, it depends. But there's two songs that really shine above all the others. Kind of a nostalgic reason, and it reminds me a little bit of when I was in hospital with my appendix. And those two songs are Men at Work, Down Under, and Total Eclipse of the Heart, Bonnie Tyler. She also did a song called... What was it? We don't need another hero. We don't need another live show. No, that was Tina Turner, wasn't it? There's a hero. No, that's Mariah Carey. I'm looking out for a hero. I'm looking at the border to the end of the night. You gotta be strong and it's gotta be tough and it's gotta be ready in the fight. I need a hero. That one, yeah, that's Bonnie Tyler. So I'm all of those. So, those two songs, Total Eclipse of the Heart and Man Down Under. Yeah, they're the two songs that probably are two of my favourite songs. If I kind of look from a distance. However, if I was going to go a little bit closer, a little bit closer in, probably, like, my favourite singer was Shakin' Stevens. But I liked so many, like, one of my favourite songs would be The Tide is High by Blondie. Absolutely love Blondie. Love DLO. I was a big fan of a lot of the songs and the bands from the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, because there was a crossover there, wasn't there? I mean, the music didn't change on a January the 1st, 1980 from, the 70s. There was all the big acts in the early 80s were pretty much from the late 70s. Or they started out in the 70s. So I would say 1980s Wham. I love the Wham songs. What's his name? I won't let the sun go down on me. I won't let the sun go down. Nick Kershaw. And Nick Kershaw was one of my favourite singers as well for a while. I liked lots of, the Queen, especially the soundtrack to Flash Gordon. Brilliant. I mean, that's one of my favourite movies. And I forget about that. I was thinking the other day, there's another one that I completely forget when I talk about my favourite movies of all time. Roadhouse. So I generally just go with It's a Wonderful Life. That's my favourite movie, which I'm still going to stick with. It's my favourite all-time movie. But I also love Roadhouse. I love Flash Gordon. I love Grease. Because of the feel-good the feel-goodness of it. They were just fun movies. And I'd say all of those movies were iconic in their own way. But yeah, if you get me talking about movies, I can talk for hours, because there's so many different types of movies I like and have liked over the years, especially comedies. And right, what was I going to say? Yeah, so I don't have one favourite song from the 80s. I do, however, have... They would kind of be two of my favourite songs. But then if we were going to look at Shakin' Stevens, one of my favourite songs that he did was It's Raining. And it went like, it's raining so hard, looks like it's going to rain all night. So I really love that song. And I like the Christmas song that he did, Merry Christmas everyone. Just trying to think. It's a 10-year period. It's a long time to choose just one song. Yeah, I struggle with that, if I'm honest. I mean, I would actually say that Total Eclipse of the Heart and Down Under are two of my favouriteest songs ever. But then if I go to the 90s, I Have Nothing. Is it I Have Nothing? Whitney Houston, The Bodyguard. I just fell in love with that song the second I heard it. Like within seconds of listening, I just fell in love with that song. I liked it way more than the I Will Always Love You, or whatever it's called. The big one that she did. And I hadn't seen the movie, so I got like a bootleg tape of it, of the album. I think it was £1 or £2, something like that. And I just love, like, I think the cover was in black and white, printed obviously on a, probably photocopied. But it's really, I love that. It's like, wow. And there's some songs, like even in the 80s, I remember there was a song, Meatloaf and Cher. I don't know what to do. No. Where they're in a bar singing. Since I've been told I've been hanging around with you. Do 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 do. Baby, 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 rock and roll the cruise, rock and roll the cruise. That one. And I remember waking up to that, because I used to have a radio when I was a kid at school. I didn't carry it around at school, that would be weird. But I had a radio, like a clock radio, next to my bed, and it would wake me up because I had paper rounds and various different part-time jobs over the years when I was at school. And it was... what was it? It was something. I woke up to that song. And I remember, this is weird, I remember that. I don't know what year it was, but I remember waking up to it and, like, I loved it. I hadn't seen the video. MTV was around, but I didn't have access to it. It wasn't really on the normal channels. I think you had to get a satellite to get hold of things like that. And that's back in the day when MTV, which I do believe stands for Music Television, actually had music on it. I mean, just change the name, baby. Change the name. if you're not going to have videos anymore, change the name. Don't what's with the, like, it's now just reality programs on there. As far as I'm aware, I mean, I haven't watched it for years, but it was, MTV changed the music industry. It made it more available, not to people in England, unfortunately, but it paved the way. It kind of got acts started to make videos and putting a bit more effort into the videos, which everyone got to see, because I imagine every country had their own music show on television that showed the videos. Our one was Top of the Pops, which was the biggest music show in the country. That was on a Thursday night. I do remember, if I believe, yeah, it was on a Thursday night for the whole of the 80s. It was on in the 90s and the 2000s as well, but it hasn't been on for years. It's on in the 70s and the 60s. It's a very long running show. But then there was some other video, there's other shows came on, music shows that showed videos. But we didn't get MTV. Not unless you had a satellite. And I think in the 90s, when Sky came up, or late 80s, Sky came along, giving people satellites, and you could watch TV programs and TV channels from other countries. I never had access to it, so I never got to see it. I knew what it was. I knew what MTV was, but I didn't get to see it. I mean, I still remember when Michael Jackson released his Thriller song, Thriller video, you know, the long video of him where he's a werewolf and all that stuff, and he's in the cinema and eating popcorn and stuff. You remember that? And wearing a red leather jacket. And I was allowed to stay up late to watch that, and it was on Channel 4. At that time, Channel 4 was quite a new channel, and they were a little bit irreverent, you know, a little bit dangerous, a little bit ooh, a little bit ah. And before that, we just had 3 channels: BBC One, BBC Two, ITV. So I'm pretty sure during my lifetime there was 3 channels, and then in 1980, might have been 81, but I think it was 80. Channel 4 came along, and then in 1997, we had Channel 5. I remember seeing that being launched. I watched it as it was being launched, because I'm not sure if I got to see Channel 4 be launched. I mean, those were the days, you know, if you only got like 3 channels or 4 channels, when you get a 5th channel launched, it's a big deal. But if you're used to having, well, like we do now, we have, I don't know how many there are, loads and loads and loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of channels. It's not a big deal anymore. I mean, ITV is now called ITV1. There's ITV2. BBC One's still BBC One. Then you've got BBC Two. You've got BBC Three now. Well, you used to have BBC Three. I think they got rid of it. Channel 4, Channel 5, and then loads of others. But Channel 5 launched, and someone I knew was actually launching it. Like Tim Vine, he is a comedian who I was friends with. He actually was the star of, he was almost like the face of Channel 5 when it launched. It was so exciting, and there was other comedians on there, and it was, yeah, brilliant. I'd like to rewatch that actually. I wonder if it's on YouTube, the Channel 5 launch night. It might be, you know. I'm going to check that out. And yeah, so I don't have I don't have one favourite song in the 80s. I'm not going to say that all. I don't want to get stuck in the 80s. I don't want to get stuck. I don't want to be like that where I'm stuck in one decade. But the 80s was my decade, really. It was like from the age of 10 to 20, the 80s. But then between 20 and 30 was also my decade, the 90s, because, you know, I was very aware of the music during that period as well. Plus, I was a DJ for the last part of the 90s. So I was, you know, had my finger on the. Well, I was kind of aware of what was popular at the time, not just what I liked. And then when we moved into the 2000s, you know, I had albums that I liked, but I kind of drifted a bit away from music. Thanks, Vinnie, for flapping your ears. 2010s, not really much. I've lost my way with music, with modern music. And that's really sad that I'm saying modern music. It makes me really feel old just saying it out loud. But I don't want to be the person that says, oh, music's hasn't been a decent song since 1989. You know, I don't want to be that person, because it's not true. There's some great songs out now, I just haven't heard them, and millions of people are loving listening to them. So they've got to be good. I just may not be able to. I might not relate to some of the music, but I don't think I've ever related to anything I've listened to ever anyway. Did you hear a down under, where women go and then plunder? I can relate to that. Turn around, every now and then I get a little bit mad because I never run around. Turn around. I couldn't relate to that. I didn't know what they were singing about. A love song, I think. You know, I didn't listen to the lyrics. Which is evident because I don't remember them. If I liked a song, I like it. It almost doesn't even matter if it's in English or not. If I like a song, then it's because of the sound, because of the vocals, maybe because of the music. I don't know, it could be any number of reasons, but I don't have to know the reason behind the song. Like my friend Luke, he used to listen to the lyrics, and he'd say, listen to the lyrics. I said, I know the song. He said, but have you listened to the lyrics? I said, no. But you've been listening to this song for 20 years. I said, I know. You don't know what he's singing about. I said, no, no idea. I just like the song. He could be singing in Arabic. Would make no difference to me. It's almost like I don't take any notice of what's being said sometimes. It's almost like a conversation with another person. And you wonder why I stopped being a counsellor. Wow. I used to be I think I was quite a good counsellor. I'd tell you the one thing, I came from an angle which a lot of other counsellors possibly don't. And it's like a non-human angle. It's quite normal for people, I've noticed, to almost feel that maybe they know stuff and that they're the expert. And I've noticed that in life, and with counsellors, like, you know, oh, I got a degree, therefore I know about counselling, and which is true, they do, as I did. But the fact is, it didn't mean that I knew about the person in front of me, and no amount of degrees was really going to give that. Or maybe it could, I just didn't have the natural ability to know. So what I did is, because I didn't understand, I've never really understood anyone, just, you know, the automatic, oh, I get what that person's about, I understand where you're coming from. No, I don't. And I'll admit it, which a lot of people, I've never known anyone to admit it. I'll admit it, I don't understand people. But in that situation, I would try to understand the person. And that's what made me a little bit different from perhaps some of the other counsellors. I'm not saying better, just different. Is I didn't understand their situation. Why has he got to eat treats now while I'm doing this? I didn't understand them or their situation, so they had to explain it to me. And by explaining it to me, we both kind of got to understand what was going on. Because it was almost, I suppose, for them, I wasn't... He's hungry now. He wants his dinner now. It was almost that we were talking two different languages, and they were trying to explain in a different language, my language, what exactly they wanted to order. You know, I guess it's a little bit like me being a call centre operator and them phoning up their bank and they're getting through to me, who's my first language is a completely different language, and they're trying to kind of understand what I'm saying to them, which means I have to concentrate more. Will you please get off me? And because I came from a non-knowing, I really wish could you just lay down there, please, mate, please. Sorry, Vinnie. This is not the right time for you to be standing on the laptop. No. There's no good time for you to stand on a laptop, really. Yes. Yeah, that's kind of the way I went with that, in a sense of I didn't have preconceived opinions about someone, and I learnt about them, from what they said, rather than from what I was just thinking in my own head. Yeah, I seemed to do quite well for a while. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I always promised myself when I was training that if I was no good, I would quit. Now, I did quit, but I only quit because there was no work, because of the basically government cuts. So I went from, I think, 16 hours a week to 3, or 4, which wasn't. That was like £100 a week, which is not, a livable amount. Which I ended up working in a call centre again. Blimey. I haven't really answered your question, I hope, haven't I? Probably about 229 times I've cut my toenails. I don't know. Maybe more, because that might be just disgusting. So maybe thousands. 1,000,000 times. Now, Barry asked me, have you ever been fishing? And I have. I have. I wish I hadn't, but I have. It was the coldest I have ever been in my entire life. And I don't know why I wanted to do it. There's no logical reason for it. I just had this idea, because where I used to live, there was a pier, and because it was on the beach. I do miss the beach, to be honest. It wasn't a very good beach, but I just liked having the sea. And yeah, it was just something nice about being able to look out at the sea. And I tell you what, regardless of what anyone's political opinions are, there's a certain very famous politician that visited this country recently, and this person said that the problem with our beaches is those electric windmill things are just plain ugly, and they are ruined. They've ruined the seaside. I think they're horrible. I know they're needed perhaps, but so yeah, I'm just moaning about windmills now. They're not windmills, are they? Whatever they're called. You know those things, the electric things that go round. They're just horrible. They had them like 20 years ago. I went to Lowestoft to do a reflexology course, and they had them there. It was horrible. Like really, like get rid of that thing, man. It's just because we're such a tiny country, and our beaches are small. The sea. I'm not saying all beaches are small, but you know, it's nice to be able to look. One of the things I liked about the sea is the quietness, or maybe just being able to hear the waves, or it's windy. On a really windy day, no one's around during the winter, you can just walk around and it's quite nice. Have a little paddle. But to be able to look out to the sea and not have anything obstructing your vision is nice. I like that. When I was younger, I just really liked that. It was quite nice to think as well, just to walk on a promenade and just have a little think. So, for some reason, I was probably about 13 at this time. I bought a fishing rod, all the fishing equipment from my friend's dad. I don't know why, but I did it. And it was the coldest, windiest, rainiest, freezing cold day in the history of mankind. I'm not dressed for it. I've got my parka on, but I'm not dressed. I don't have the proper clothing. I have the proper equipment, but not the proper clothing. And on the hill down, they sold bait and stuff, so I got some bait on the way there. And I didn't really know what I was doing, but I spent years. Ice cream man. So loud. I spent years doing going onto the pier and talking to the people fishing. So I kind of had I knew my way around it a little bit. Because we'll just chat with them, because that's what fishermen do, isn't it? They're fishing. Once they've kind of put the thing off the pier, once they've chucked it out, they're just sitting there most of the time. So they talk to us, and you know, yeah. So I kind of got to know a little bit how they were doing stuff. Sometimes I'd look after their rods when they went to the toilet and things like that, or went to get something to eat, because the pier had like a canteen or a restaurant thing on there. So, you know, I thought maybe I'd like to do it myself. On this occasion, there was no one else there. No one there. Just me. And I really thought I was going to get blown out to sea. And at one point I thought getting blown out to sea would be much more enjoyable than standing on that pier with my fishing rod. Bearing in mind I can't even swim, it just shows you how much fun I was having. I came home. I carried the stuff. I don't know why. I should have just left the stuff on the pier, but I didn't. I carried it home. And I could not believe how cold I was. I got home eventually, and I'll admit, I didn't live far away. Honestly, it was like up a hill and up the road. It wasn't a long distance. 20 minutes maybe, if that. And I was so cold, and I'm never ever going to do that again. I never have. And the next day I took the rods, all the stuff, back to my friend's dad's place, and he said, "I'm not buying them back off you." I said, "I don't care, take them back, I don't want them." So he got to sell them twice. He couldn't believe it. He said, I said, I don't want them. Don't want to see them again. He said, "You only bought them a day ago." I said, "Yeah, I know. There you go. Ta-ra. Ta-ta." And that was it. That was the end of my fishing career. Now, Luke downstairs, he loved fishing. That was his favourite thing. But he kept asking me, come fishing with me, and he liked to do it on lakes and not ponds, in lakes and stuff, rivers and stuff. He didn't do it off of any piers, I don't think. He might have done in the past, but we don't have that around here. And I kept saying no. Now, I bought him fishing equipment, rods and all kinds of stuff, so that he could go, because I thought it was important that he went and done something he wanted to do. It got him out and gave him an interest, because he loved doing that. But he just didn't want to go on his own. And he was like, well, please come with me. I said, no. I just can't think of, it's just not something I'm ever going to do. I'm never going to go fishing, ever. Apart from the fact that I'm not really, as I got older, fishing doesn't really appeal to me on different levels as well. But I'm never, outside of survival, I will not go fishing. Ain't going to happen. But what if your grandson became a fisher person and he loved it and he wanted you to go with him, wanted his granddad to go with him? I haven't got any grandkids, so that's not going to happen. In that situation, then yeah, I probably would go. You know what I mean? It's just, I'm sure if my dad said, oh, please come fishing with me and your little brother, it'd be really nice if we can just have the weekend away together, and we've never done anything like this before, and I wouldn't want to go, but I probably would go, because it's my dad, it's my little brother, and it's a one-off situation. But it'd have to be warm, it'd have to be summer, and if we're staying in tents, he'd have to put the tent up. Ideally, it would be in the grounds of a hotel where we can, stay in a hotel. I don't want to be camping, really. Don't want to do no tenting. So maybe in that situation, I could do it. Maybe. But outside of that, nah. And that's not going to happen. The chances of my dad phoning me up and saying, hello, son, that's what he calls me. He doesn't know my name. Doesn't know any of our names. He just calls us all son. It's easier, isn't it? Apart from, my sister, he calls her daughter. And her kid's grandson and granddaughter. He doesn't learn anyone's names. And if he did phone up and say, oh, me and your brother are going to go out, or me and son number 4, I'm son number 3, yeah, me and son number 4 want to go fishing, are you going to come with us? And I'd say, no. Oh, go on, please, be your best friend. I might think, well, maybe, But there has to be rules. I'm not going to fish. I'll sit there, but I probably won't, I'll just hang around. Hotel room during the summer, but not hot summer. I'm not sitting in the sun, but it has to be, a good kind of weather time, maybe spring, maybe autumn, where it's still like fairly mild, And if it rains, got shelter, but it's not cold. I can't be doing winter, sitting outside in the winter. Not really my thing. Although, I've got a bit of flabber now, and a bit of flabby blubber on me, which I didn't have when I first fished. I had just skin and bone. I didn't have any weight on me when I was 13. So perhaps I wouldn't get as cold now as I used to. But I've noticed that since last year, when I lost a stone, is it 14 pounds or more actually, I noticed last winter that I could feel the cold a little bit more. because I didn't have that insulation, that walrus insulation that I normally have. My little seal protection, you know, the blubber wasn't there. Well, there was less blubber there. There's still plenty of blubber. There's still plenty there, trust me. But it's a lot less, because I was 16 stone before. I was about 100 kilos. Now I'm just under 15 stone, which is probably, I don't know, 95 kilos maybe. So it's a fair drop. But it really is 5% of my body weight. It's quite a big percentage, isn't it? 5% to lose. Yeah. That's if it's correct, I don't know. So thank you, Hope and Barry. It was only 2 questions. So I didn't really have a lot of... That's why the recording is so short. It's only 92 minutes long. Wow. Oh dear. But thank you for your messages. Thank you for your questions. So it's 6:30. Vinnie's not as agitated as he was a few minutes ago when he was looking for something to eat. So I might go and get his dinner for him, and then yeah, I'm gonna have to get myself something to eat, but I don't know quite what. Don't know what. Oh, I wonder if that curtain's been delivered yet. Well, it's not actually a curtain, but it's kind of like a, I don't know what they call it, like a blanket, really heavy duty blanket thing. But I don't know, apparently it's really heavy, according to the reviews, very heavy. So I'm going to probably have to get some kind of way of attaching it to the wall. But it depends on how big it is. It's got holes in the sides of it, so you can put nails or like things in, but I don't want it permanently on there. I want to be able to lift it up. So it, you know, I don't want to block the window the whole time. I will just see when it gets here. Yeah. I mean, I could have just looked at what the size was when I purchased it, but I didn't. I've also got some toilet roll coming as well, but I think that's coming tomorrow. Yeah. It's 120 packs, I think. 120 toilet rolls. Last ages, they really do. So, I'm going to go. So thank you very, very much for listening. Remember to be kind to yourself, because you do deserve to be happy, and be gentle with yourself if you deserve to feel safe. Take care. Lots of love. See, Vinnie always knows when I say take care, lots of love, he knows that I'm bringing and getting to the end of the thing. He's staring at me now. Hurry up. Take care. Bye.